Welcome to SciTech Culture with Steve Kern and Ben Warner, where we examine science, technology, and culture in the 21st century. Visit our website at scitechculture.com.
All right, and we're back, and it's now officially summer, Steve. So I'm going to overlay some footage now of what I'm seeing, which is like a torrential downpour outside. Well, maybe not quite. It's just very dark and grey and drizzly and rainy, and it's been like that for about 6 hours this morning already. But, you know, at least we've got summer started, so there you go. But we're back, let's put it that way.
Well, that's it. It's pretty grey where I am as well. And when they say it's going to be a hot summer, I think what they mean is we're going to be 1 or 2 degrees average higher, not necessarily 45 degrees.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Alrighty, so I've been off for a couple of weeks gallivanting around Japan, and which, you know, that's always a fun thing to do. And finally made some use out of all that extra storage I bought internally for my iPhone 14 Pro Max. So I started to shoot a whole bunch of ProRes footage, which I'll overlay. And it was a lot of fun. Like the fact that you can shoot at that quality. It's 4K 30 ProRes, and the quality was really high, and it was a lot of fun to use. Just some interesting things that I think we've kind of touched on, as well as obviously the 15 Pros have solved this problem by introducing the USB-C port with USB 3 speeds on it. But obviously, that's right. But the issue that I obviously encountered was that getting the footage off the phone proved to be a little problematic. The only thing I'll say is that it wasn't as bad as what I thought, but it was still a very long-winded process where, you know, plugging it in via the Lightning port, it took about it took it almost 2 hours. It took it a little over 2 hours to transfer 45 minutes of footage, which is worked out to be around 250 gigabytes of data, which obviously in a pro workflow that's really slow. Whatever. I managed to get it into my MacBook so I could play around with it at least. So, and I think in some very specific use cases, just shooting ProRes just picks up that extra level of detail that gets missed. Now, it's not to say that iPhone footage isn't great anyway, but it does tend to over sharpen a bit. It does. You can, if you're moving the camera around a bit too fast, you can pick up the compression when it's coming through, but that's being real nitpicky anyway. But the ProRes stuff just comes out so nice.
Yeah, can you tell us a bit about your workflow, just quickly?
Yeah, so I did it all on the phone actually. So I just opened up the Apple's camera app. You've got the ability to switch on the ProRes on there, and I just shot away, and it was everything I shot was handheld. And then in this particular case, just for speed more than anything else, I dumped all the clips into iMovie and just punched them straight out. I've now transferred, and basically I saved all the copies on my phone, and then I've since transferred them to my Mac. I've taken all the original ProRes footage off of the phone literally by plugging it in via cable into my my M1 Pro MacBook Pro here. So I've got all 45 minutes of the original ProRes footage lined up in Final Cut now, so I'll probably have a bit more of a play around and just maybe edit a longer video, which I'll then put online, hopefully in as high quality as I can, because obviously ProRes still won't translate onto YouTube. But the thing is that the workflow is so simple now. Like you think about like how you can really production up making videos. And the reality is that, it's about as self-contained in one device as you can get now.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? And, you think when we went, back a few years, every step was a little bit more difficult. You're using AirDrop, or it's, too large and you're mixing devices, and to move across those platforms is a little bit difficult. But like you say now, if you have the latest phone, USB-C, and straight into a MacBook, and suddenly it becomes, shooting great footage on your iPhone in ProRes, and then cutting it into something that's special using Final Cut, it becomes very easy.
Absolutely. So yeah, that still won't prompt me to upgrade to an iPhone 15, by the way. But I'm still hanging out for a couple of years for that. But knowing that I can, I don't have like the demands that a pro workflow would require, which is basically around time. Like if you've got a demand deadline kind of situation where you need to get it off the phone immediately to get the footage up in the next 30 minutes, then yeah, that's a problem. But I don't, so I can just sit there and just casually get it off there slowly, and then eventually down maybe by the iPhone 17 or 18 when I feel like upgrading again, I'll get that feature then.
Gee, imagine what the iPhone 1010 is going to be like.
Absolutely. Roman numerals too. Absolutely. So related to this, obviously, while I was away, the M3 lineup got announced all at once. So this was different compared to the M1 and the M2s, where the Pro chips and the regular baseline chips were sort of announced separately. This time, Apple went with announcing the baseline M3 and then also the Pro and the Max chips at the same time. And look, yeah, I handheld a few of them while I was in Japan. The black one's really nice, even though it's not really black. Depending on the light that hits it, but it's still a nice machine. I think what I wanted to touch on was just that I don't think they've dug a hole for themselves, because I think they've set themselves up really nicely, Apple, with the way they're running the MacBooks now. But it's interesting that when the M1s came out, for instance, right at the beginning of this cycle, which was in 2020, you would buy them full price at retail because they were that much better than what you could get off a refurbished store or an old Intel machine, because they're all old Intel machines, etc. And you would just go straight at that. The quantifiable jump in performance was staggering. But now we get to a point where they're not cheap machines, for instance, and all these M3 machines I'm sure are fantastic. I'm sure they're, whatever, 15-20% faster, or whatever the benchmarks and graphs that Apple says that they are. But the reality is that when I picked up my M1 Pro MacBook Pro off the Apple's refurbished store, and the advantage of doing that is that you get the guarantee that they've checked it out and that they've cleaned it up, put a new battery in, etc., and you get to buy it for less money. Now that has only, in my mind, become more the case, because you can buy an M1 series machine or an M2 series machine now that's got more capability potentially than what these M3 chips do, and the classic comparison would be the baseline M3 MacBook Pro compared to the M2 Pro MacBook Pro. You get more ports, you can hook up to more displays on the M2 Pro, but you actually are paying either equivalent or less than what is supposedly the later M3 model. So it's interesting. I just wonder what I lay all of that out because I wonder what it does for their sales numbers and stuff, because I think they've really generated a really good used market because the M1, even the baseline M1 right now, is still light years ahead already.
Yeah, look, I think you've really hit the nail on the head. Phones are a transient sort of item. So even if you can get 8 years out of an iPhone, you're probably going to want to upgrade it, even if you're really stingy like me, every 4 years. Laptops are different. If laptops are working, and it doesn't matter whether it's a PC or a Mac, if a laptop's working, you tend to just keep going and just working it until it becomes something that impacts your workflow. So things just don't operate fast enough, or you can't do things quickly enough or smoothly enough. Look, as someone who's just got a standard M1 MacBook, wow, I'm still blown away by it. And it's not a patch on the Pro, it's not a patch on the whether it's 1 or 2 or 3, and yet it does more than I could have expected, and still more than I ask for on a daily basis. So where's my desire to upgrade this? It's probably pretty low at the moment, and the way I'm seeing things is Apple will software me out through the OS is the only way they'll get me to upgrade. So I think you've hit the nail on the head. There's always going to be people that want the newest and the latest and have the available cash for those things, but I think what you're pointing to is the fact that you're in no way disadvantaged buying a refurb. and in some cases the argument is you'd be better off both in terms of what you spend and even the features. I mean, they're fantastic. They're an absolutely fantastic range of laptops. It doesn't matter which one you get, likely you'll be happy.
Absolutely. One thing I did want to finish up on, and it'll be interesting because they don't have to answer this question yet, although I'm sure they've answered it themselves internally, is when they will software people out of the M1 machines. How will they do it? Will they bifurcate it? So like people who bought Pro and Max machines, maybe they last a bit longer. I mean, at the moment, I think it's still pretty good in that you get about 6 or 7 years of OS support on any given Mac that you buy, assuming that you buy it on its initial release, like from day one. So it was a bit more, I guess it was predictable in the Intel days. You kind of know what they were doing there, but this is a different ball game. Like you said, the chips are that much more capable. That unless they really ramp up what macOS is doing, they introduce some sort of feature that only the M6 Max chip can run or something like that, which seems a little silly. I don't know. Maybe it's tied to the Vision Pro, shooting 3D video footage, the spatial video that they're talking about, this sort of stuff. Who knows? Like it doesn't seem as concrete. Like we're well and truly past that era where hardware is easily dismissed as not being up to the task anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's why I think it'd almost certainly be an operating system. Look, you think of these new Macs, as you've said numerous times, they're hardly stressed by 90% of routine tasks. If you are a pro and you're at that hard end of the 10%, that's where you're going to be affected first, and you probably will only get 4 or 5, 6 years out of your machine, and that's probably all you'll want anyway because the next advance will be there. But really, if you're buying one of these and you're using Word 365 and doing a bit of browsing and watching a video, and even if you're just cutting some clips for yourself and your family, and even if they're high quality using ProRes, you're not really going to encounter any problems. And in fact, what you'll find is, while you may get to a point where you can't upgrade the OS anymore, they'll still be standalone machines that you'll be able to operate for whatever workflows you have. So, I mean, nothing rattles in these machines. There's no moving parts. It's really just how long will the battery last. And if you can get 10, 11, 12 years, and then maybe you just run it off direct charge, who knows, 15, 20 years for an M series MacBook. We can only hope.
That sounds like a challenge right there. I might have to just hang on to mine and see what happens, and we'll come back when we're doing SciTech Culture episode 3400 or something, and then we'll wheel it out and see what's going on.
Absolutely. I mean, I've still got my 2011 MacBook going. I don't know how, but it does.
Absolutely. All right, Steve, we might wrap it up there. I'll get to work editing. I'll get some of these ProRes videos from Japan online hopefully soon. And obviously another good thing, it's December, so we're cracking on towards the end of the year. So 2023 is almost over too.
Well, that's it, and I guess there'll be big news in store for 2024, no doubt.
Absolutely. All right, so don't forget to check out our website, scitechculture.com. You can get all of our links and content there. You can watch our videos on YouTube and Vimeo and subscribe to our RSS feeds and watch us on any and all of your devices, and we greatly appreciate your visits to our website. All right, so that's it for this episode. We'll catch you next time.